Hello and welcome back to another video of me on my narrowboat. I'm still moored in Weston-on-Trent in Derbyshire at the moment, but today I'm going to be moving the boat to Shardlow, which is about 3 miles away. It's not too far, but I will have to go through 3 locks to get there, and they're double locks, which are quite difficult, or can be quite difficult when you're on your own like I am. So I'm not sure how it's going to go, but I'm gonna give it a go and try to film as much as I can. Before I get going properly, I'm going to show you where I've been moored for the past week. So if we look over here to the south, you can see the River Trent in the distance, and if you listen you might be able to hear some cars as well. Those cars are from Donington Park, so they're racing around Donington Park at the moment. It's quite close to here, although it's the other side of the river. You might also be able to hear some aeroplanes because we're quite close to East Midlands Airport. My engine's already on, but I need to untie the boat from the towpath so that I can get going. The lock gates were already open. I'm not sure why they were open, but it does actually make it a little bit easier because I was able just to drive straight in rather than mooring at the side and opening them myself. But now my boat is in the lock, I need to go and close the lock gates. I was planning to do that lock on my own, and I started filming myself so I could show you how I do them on my own, but the man who lives next to the lock kindly came out and started helping by closing one of the gates for me, and then some boaters who were coming in the opposite direction came and helped as well, which was really nice of them, and that's something that boaters often do. They often help each other get through locks, especially if they see somebody who's on their own like me. So I wasn't able to show you how I do it on my own, but I was really grateful for the help because it makes it so much easier. I essentially just stayed on the boat, well, I got back on the boat and I stayed on the boat when the boat went down in the lock. And then the man from the other boat opened the gates for me, and I just drove out of the lock and carried on going, and it's just so much easier like that, basically. We're coming up to the next lock now, so let's see how this one goes. So I've moored the boat just in front of the lock, and I've tied it quite loosely there because we're not going to be here for long. So I'll explain the principle of locks. In order for the gates to open, the water level needs to be the same on each side so that the forces are equal on both sides, and then you can just easily push them open. So I can see from looking at this lock that the water is higher on this side than it is on that side. So what I need to do is open the paddles in order to let in water from the canal there, which will then raise the water level in the loch. So now the lock gates are both open, I'm going to untie the boat and drive the boat into the loch. So the boat's in the loch now, but I need to close those gates. So I need to get off the boat in order to do that, and it's a bit more tricky with a double lock because it's wider, which means it can be more difficult to get off the boat to the side, but I'll give it a go. I also need to take my centre line with me. Oh, I'm going too far forward, hang on a sec. It all goes wrong when I try and film myself, but basically I need to take my centre line with me, because as long as I've got the centre line I can control the boat while I'm not on it, basically by using the rope to pull the boat. Now those gates are closed, I'm gonna use my windlass again to open the paddles on the other end of the loch to allow the water out of the loch, and that will then make the water level lower and therefore make the boat go down in the loch. So just to explain, I only opened one paddle to start with, which meant that the water was draining more slowly, but I often do that when I'm on my own because it means that the boat doesn't move around so much in the loch, which I think is important if you're not actually on the boat and it's more difficult to control it. I also wanted to stay quite close to where my centre line was tied to the side of the loch so that I could loosen it or tighten it if needed, or pull the centre line in order to control the boat. I think the water level is probably the same on both sides now, so I'm going to see if I can open the lock gates. I don't know if you saw that, but it's so windy today that one of the lock gates actually opened on its own without me having to open it. Also, my camera blew over, which shows how windy it is. So you might not have seen that, I'm not sure. But now what I need to do is climb back on the boat, which is more tricky because the lock is quite wide, it's a double lock. But I need to climb back on, down one of the ladders, and then I need to drive the boat out of the loch. I might not film this because trying to climb back on the boat down a ladder is difficult enough as it is. So you'll just have to imagine me climbing down the ladder and jumping on the boat. closed the lock gates, it means I can untie the boat again and we can head on for Shardlow. We're now approaching Shardlow Lock, which is the third and final lock of the day. I'm not sure if I'm going to film this because there are usually lots of people watching at this lock. I can feel the wind blowing me to one side, so it makes steering more difficult, especially when you're going at a slow speed like this. I didn't film all of that because there were people around, but I've just been through the lock. Somebody from the pub next to the lock actually closed one of the lock gates for me afterwards, which was nice of him. So we're very close now to where I'm planning to moor in Shardlow. I've just moored the boat in Shardlow, which is actually the start of the Trent and Mersey Canal, which goes all the way 92 miles up to Preston Brook, where it joins the Bridgewater Canal. That's all from me for today. If you want me to show you anything else, or if you have any questions, then just leave a comment below. But thank you for watching.